7:01. Call this meeting to order. Don't see Councilmember Wade yet. Council member from Ward 1. Joining us a little bit later. Councilmember from Ward 2. Supposed to get here at 7:10. Councilmember from Ward 3.
Present.
Thank you, Councilmember Bryan. Councilmember from Ward 4.
Present.
Thank you, Councilmember Gallagher. Councilmember from Ward 5. I don't see. Councilmember from Ward 6.
Present.
All
And
right.
Councilmember Wade just joined.
All right, I'll circle back. Councilmember from Ward 1. Give you a second to come on board as a panelist.
Present.
Thank you, Councilmember Wade. So with that, we've got quorum. We'll go ahead and get started. We can take the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. For a motion to approve the agenda from council.
Motion to approve the agenda?
Motion has been seconded. No.
Oh, second.
No. Motion to approve and second. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the ayes have it. We're moving into resident input. I want to make sure I remind everyone that resident input is limited to 3 minutes. We are holding very tight to that because we have a number of parts of the budget to get through. Please state your name and your ward for the record and keep your comments to 3 minutes. Is there anyone online or in person?
When she sit here.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the council. My name is Brian Barnett Woods. I'm a resident of Ward 2. First, I would like to concur and reiterate with some of the comments raised last week by my neighbors regarding keeping ballot boxes safe and improving the process for mail-in voting. I know the Board of Elections Supervisors meets tomorrow, and we're talking about the budget. So I hope that they're able to address some of these considerations and we think about this in elections moving forward. Also, with the beginning of the budget process, I would like to advocate Mayor and Council to do everything they can to develop a clear budget narrative to help the community better understand not only what is and what isn't in the budget, but also how those budget items reflect our community values. And lastly, I'd like to ask that as you consider items to add to the budget and to remove, please be mindful of long-term maintenance, debt, and the town's ability to generate and keep local wealth within the community. We should seek fiscal, environmental, and social resilience in all of our investments, especially as we seek to keep a welcoming, engaging, and strong community and strong town of Cheverly. With that, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone online? Any hands raised? All right. Okay, Ms. Gallagher?
Okay. Well, greetings, Mayor and Council in the town of Cheverly. I hope that you all are doing well this evening. Thank you for attending this year's first budget meeting. Please know that this is the first meeting out of many conversations that we're going to have, and that the numbers that are proposed in this proposal this evening are fluid. My team and I have been working to balance the budget this year with the existing tax rate. Okay, just to remind you of a few things. The residential tax rate is 0.5799 for the residential tax rate and 0.75 for the multifamily units. The proposed constant yield rate, which is in your packet, for the apartments is 0.75. As noted in the assessment and taxation document, the proposed constant yield rate, excluding the apartments, is 0.5503. All right, due to the raise in the assessments remaining at our current tax rate would provide an additional revenue of $262,000. A lot of, every year people ask, what does 1 penny equal? Well, this year, 1 penny equals 89,000. The assessable base in fiscal year 26 is 887 million compared to fiscal year 25, which was 842 million. This is a new increase of 45 million, which equates to about 5.4%. It's my goal. It's the goal of my team, the chief, the director of public works, to balance the budget. I know that hasn't been done in a long time. And the current document that you have right now, you will see a deficit of a little over $200,000. We're working that through. As I've indicated earlier, these documents are fluid, and we're going to make every effort that we can to balance this year's budget. Understanding the federal cuts and how they've impacted our region, we're being considerate of a lot of items in our budget as well. But we also know that our economy is strong. We also know that we have a lot of resilient people that live in our town and in our surrounding community. So with that, Mayor and Council, we'll move forward with page number 1, and that's revenue. Well, I'm sorry, page number 1 will be your budget summary, okay? And then the budget summary, it just gives an overview of what we're going to go over this evening. And then you'll also see the $200,000 deficit. I'm just going to ask you to please ignore that this evening. Okay. That's there for the purpose of what me and my team have been working on in the budget. We have been making cuts, and we will continue to make cuts to get that down to the number where we want it to. Next page, please. This is the expenditure summary. We're going to go over all of this as well. It's just a summary. All right. First page of revenue, please. So I have with me this evening on Zoom, Ms. Diane Mock, who is the town accountant. So what we'll do, we'll go through each section. If you have any questions, I ask that you save them to the end of the section, and we'll do our best with trying to address your questions as need be. Please give me a moment so that I can. Thank you so much. Okay, the proposed, Ms. Mark, are you here?
Yes, I am. Good evening.
All right, good evening. So we're going to go over taxes first. Staying at the current tax rate of 0.579 and 0.75, if we keep those tax rates flat, we'll bring in about $304,000 more dollars than the previous year, which equates to $5,582,000. Okay. We go down to TPP utilities. We're estimating about $55,000 more dollars than what we did last year, just based off the projections of this year. So that's at $210,000. TPP business, we're estimating, based off of projections, a $35,000 increase, which we're bringing that up to $350,000. Local income taxes. Based off of projections and where we're going to right now, we took this up actually an additional $100,000. Hotel motel, we remained flat at 110,000. Highway user tax, that is something that's provided to us from the state. That's 373,000, which is an increase of 36,000 from the previous year. And the bank stock tax is 13,400, which is a 12,100 difference from last year. Diane, do you have any additional comments from there?
I think we might have a little typo on that bank stock. It should be $1,340.
1,340, okay.
Oh, yeah.
We put in an extra zero.
Just one.
Yeah. But we'll go down to license and permits. I'm just going to touch on some of the bigger items. For rental license, we're on par for it to be about 65,000. Again, that's, code compliance, go out and do the rental inspections for the residential units that rent their houses and for the Cheverly Station apartments. The cable television franchise fees and the cable television PEG, I'm going to turn over to Diane just for a second.
I think based on what you've gotten in the last couple of years, they have been decreasing slightly. This money tends to be late coming. So we'll have to keep watching that. We might have to adjust that slightly.
Have received some funds in February, and we do anticipate receiving more funds the last fourth quarter of this fiscal year. That is one number that we will continue to watch and provide a more accurate number after we receive the funds. Intergovernmental program open space, we've budgeted there $150,000. Of course, that's to go towards the Kilmer Park path. There's a match that goes with that of 25%, and you'll see that reflective in the expenditures. The disposal rebate fee we have at $18,840. I think that check comes in on the last quarter of the year as well. The police protection grant, we're at 110,000, and we can, as you can tell right now, there's a difference of about $24,000. But we anticipate getting the entire 110,000 in this upcoming year. I do know that we're also applying for additional grants for the police that would be in the upcoming fiscal year. And the General Assembly Fund, the Earmark Fund, the state earmark, those are all funds that we have been awarded and we continue to roll over from year to year, and that we hadn't spent all. Okay. Going down to service and charges. Okay. Thank you, Chief. Just to let you all know, going back up to police protection, we have not received the last quarter of the SAP grant. So
We've only gotten 2 quarters.
okay.
That 58,000 is just first, second, so we're still due the third and the fourth.
So we're on track to get the 110.
It's 20. It's
I'm sorry, 134. Correct.
29,419 times 4. Whoops. Times 4. It's going to be about 118,000 for the year.
Okay. So we'll move down to service charges. These pretty low, but, every year we order the residential parking stickers for residential parking zones in the town. These are the revenue that we receive from selling the stickers and the placards. I anticipate an uptick because code and police have been out monitoring the areas, considering the fact that a lot of people now are catching the metro. A lot of people know that, Cheverly is a great place to go and park and be safe and get on the metro. So, we are being observant of the rules and the laws that we have implemented. So there will probably be an uptick in that. Special trash appliances is when we get phone calls for Public Works to come and throw away one of their major appliances, if you will. Everything here is pretty much what you see, what you get. If there are questions, I'll get them at the end. And let's get down to red light camera and speed camera. I will turn the floor over to Chief. Are you available?
Yes, good evening, sir. And yes, I'm here.
Okay, so just wanted you to have my back on this, but I do know that we can have a discussion on this now, but just wanted to bring to the attention that, we are budgeting for $620,000 in red light camera fees. But that's also understanding and knowing that we're going to have additional red light cameras installed in the town really soon on the backside of town. Okay. So we anticipate this number being Columbia Park Road. So we anticipate this number being around this amount. And yes.
This number is with the other cameras in mind.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
This number is with the other cameras in mind, and 1.54 is with a full year's worth of 3 speed cameras in mind as well. So that's where we are. Chief, do you have any additional questions or comments right now?
No, sir, I'm just here to answer any questions the mayor council may have.
Okay. While we're there, I'll just stop right here at red light cameras, speed cameras, and see if there are any questions.
Councilmember Briner?
I don't have a question, but a comment, which is that I am just a little cautious, as I was last year, about this number for speed camera, just because we will have had another year of people knowing where the speed cameras are. And I just want to make sure that we're not overestimating the amount of revenue we'll bring in, because the hope is that people will slow down. And if people slow down, you won't get as much revenue. I know you do not have faith in that, Councilmember Fry, but I wanted to raise it.
As you all know, every year I ask us not to even look at these 2 line items, just act like this money isn't coming at all. I do think that it's good that we have I think 620 is a conservative number, given that I just witnessed 3 people go through the red light on the way here. So, I think that, unfortunately, what we have seen with the speed cameras is the fact that people have not stopped speeding. So I feel pretty comfortable with the numbers being where they are. I would love for them to be lower and that we could get revenue some other way, but I suspect that will probably stay steady. Councilmember Watson.
Well, thank you. I share a little bit of Councilmember Briner's skepticism or concern. I guess a question that I have is, because what's not on the budget is like, okay, we got the year-to-date actuals as of February 28th. We don't have like where we think our best guess of where we'll be on June 30th. So do you think that you're going to hit 2.16? Well, I should say 620 and 1.5 and 2.1, because you're not, I know it's not like a linear thing, like you get the same amount of money every 12 months. We're not close to hitting those targets as of 2/28. So this might be a Diane question, but in the final 4 months of the year, do you think we're going to hit the 2025 budgeted revenues?
I'm looking at what has been deposited in February and what we've gotten so far in March. So far in March, you've collected $90,000 more. So let's assume that holds. March, April, May, June, that's 4 months. That brings you right at your budget. But in February, you collected 110,000. So I think you're going to hit the 1.5. My concern is the other side of it is the expense side is higher than we anticipated. The expense of the collection of the speed camera is higher than we anticipated. So let me look at red light and see how it's trending. I don't see anything in yet for March. So for the month of February, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, around $60,000. Um, 60 times 5. Yeah, so you might be you might be short on I don't know. 60 times 5. 60,000 times 5 is
300,000.
300,000. Again, you might be right on the nose on the red light. If it continues to track, the months continue to track the same.
Can I ask Chief to provide some comments on the volume of this as well? But also, can I ask Chief to just, in a 10,000-foot overview, Chief, if you can explain our current negotiations right now without going into a lot of detail with it as well.
Yes, sir. So if you'll allow me just briefly before I touch on that, I just reached out to the director of the Governor's Office of Crime Control and Prevention with regards to the SAP grant. The fourth quarter should be paid out on June the 20th of this year, give or take. And on the third quarter, they should be processing that now. So that's as up-to-date information as what we could reasonably expect. As it relates to the volume, I do want to say that we are continuing to maintain an average citations of about 42 to 4,400 violations that are cited per month. Now, it's important to recognize that the number of violations captured is a higher number. So, for instance, if you'll bear with me, I'm trying to open up some of this stuff. On the client summary that I ask for, and I get these monthly, but I give you the client summary for the inception date of February the 1st of 2024 through December 31st. There were almost 100,000 events captured between the cameras on Route 202 as well as over on Columbia Park, keeping in mind that Columbia Park's cameras didn't come online until July. Of that almost 100,000, there was only slightly over 58,000 actual citations issued. And the reason that number is considerably lower is simply because of the everything from image quality to rejections because the plates were obscured. They were rejected because DMV didn't have a record. They were rental cars, so there's a whole host of issues as to why those numbers are less. So that's kind of globally as it relates to those 2 months. But in January, there was 4,713 lookups for violations. So 4713, and on February it was 4272, almost 4,300, keeping in mind there are two different 31 days versus 28 days. So what we are seeing as it relates to the number of violations is that they're remaining consistent in that 4,000 violations per month range. That being said, the fee structure for the automated speed enforcement, we pay $12 per lookup. Now, if they have to look up a tag 3 times, it's still only $12. So, for example, in February, with almost 4,300 lookups, our fee to the contractor was over $51,000. The number of citations paid that month was only 2,000. So less than half of the number of lookups, but you have to keep in mind that the citations paid are paid in arrears. Those could have been violations that occurred months before, so it's constantly in a catch-up mode. If we, and I say this only from a hypothetical, in a perfect world, at that rate of an average of 4,200 automated speed enforcement citations per year, we're looking at about 50,000, of which is about where we are right now, 50,000 citations. And the revenue on that, the revenue before expenditures would be over 2 million. But when you turn around and take out the cost of the systems and the lookup fees, you're probably close to 700,000, depending upon the number of. In fact, I can give you the exact amount. It'd be $50,000, almost $500,000 simply in fees to the contractor. So I say all of that to say that the fee structure as it's set up by the General Assembly, and this was changed in 2014, is the contractor has to be paid regardless of whether a citation is ever collected on. So to the mayor's point and to the point of the rest of the council, I absolutely agree that we are dependent upon the violators satisfying the citations, and the only way to collect on that after the fact is when the violators go to renew their tags. At some point in time, their tags would have been flagged by the Maryland Vehicle Administration, and they won't be able to get those flags taken off until they satisfy those fines. So before I go on to the other question that Mr. Galloway asked me to talk about, is there any questions on anything I've said? Clear as mud? Okay. All right. So the other, I look at these numbers. I have repeatedly looked at these numbers. I do back of the napkin math, and my back of the napkin math is pretty good. According to the reports that we receive, and the police department, I asked for 2 reports a month One is a reconciliation report. The other is a client summary that shows the volume, the effectiveness, if you will, of the camera systems, to show us the number of violations that are being captured and paid out, et cetera. By my math, the provider is in arrears of what they owe to the town. I've discussed this with Mr. Galloway. We have met with the provider. I provided based on their numbers, what our calculations should be, and we're working towards a resolution on that to recoup what I believe is owed to the town. And we're gonna continue to be steadfast on that. But we're also looking at other providers, because there's not just one out there. There's several, and I'm not gonna allow the town, and Mr. Galloway is not gonna allow the town to not be compensated appropriately and correctly for any revenue that's owed to us. So we're still working on that. That's a negotiation in process. But at the end of the day, if need be, I will, through Mr. Galloway, come back to the mayor and council and make other recommendations. I don't believe in throwing the baby out with the bathwater, but I do believe in accountability on all parts, and that's our fiscal responsibility to the town. Did that answer the question, Mr. Galloway, you were looking for?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan?
I have a comment and a question. The comment is that I would be more comfortable with these citation cameras if it was a number that we weren't having to do back of the napkin math in March to see if we're going to hit the budget number, right? Because this is kind of bonus money, not bonus money, but it's not money that we should be relying on and maybe not sure if it's going to hit the number every year. It should be a number that is conservative enough that if we get more than that, hey, we got more than that. The question is, I believe HB 516, which is the bill to allow civilians to review the automated enforcement citations. I think that crossed over and is being considered. Does that save us any money potentially? Does that have any impact on us if it passes?
So the bill did cross over, and I think it will. I think it will pass. As far as any savings on our end, no, ma'am, because this is a program management, and right now our civilian staff is already approving the significant number of red light violations that come in, and when we're talking the approval of well over 50,000 speed camera citations on top of that, I think it's important that we keep that we remain consistent as it relates to how we manage this program. And I have to apologize. I use terminology sometimes perhaps in an ineffective way. When I said back of the napkin math, that's just me with a calculator and literally making sure that the money that's supposed to be coming to the town is coming to the town. So,
and I didn't mean
my clarification on that.
I actually meant Ms. Mock having to do math to see if we're on track to make the budget.
Okay. All right.
I didn't mean your different napkins, different envelopes, whatever the metaphor is. Thank you, but that makes sense, and that was what I thought about the bill passing, so thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Everybody at the table satisfied? Okay. Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
All right, so we'll scroll down to miscellaneous. This year we put $30,000 for insurance reimbursement. Hey, every year we've been able to receive an insurance reimbursement based off partnership and the type of system that we have with Legit based off of employee wellness. I'll go down because there's something that's going to be new into this budget, and that's the WMATA overtime and the WMATA administrative fee. The WMATA overtime is $261,000. That's what they have approved for the town of Cheverly Police Department to work overtime for, okay? So this is a cost neutral line item. So whatever we spend it's cost neutral. However, the administrative fees that we could make up if the officers work the entire 261,000 would be $30,000. And that's based off of the administrative fees that we would charge. Are there any questions right now before we move to the next page?
Question.
Yes.
We don't have prior actuals for this because this is a new entry.
Correct.
But we were working with WMATA before. Do we know how many hours were worked or how much that would have tabulated to?
We are doing our due diligence to try to get that information. We do have a number of hours. We're trying to decipher with paychecks an accurate amount of WMATA hours, but I don't have that available right now.
Okay, and this is a question for Chief or Assistant Chief. Do we know if the officers still appreciate this programming? This was an opportunity to give officers something outside of their regular day-to-day, as well as add additional safety for our Metro riders. Do they still want to do this? Is this still something that is attractive for officers?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
We're about to leave revenue.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so a couple quick points on revenue. Number one, very excited about the flat tax rate of 5,799. I think it's great addition for 2026 after two fairly steep tax increases in 24 and 25. I think I'm a little concerned about, and I guess I'd like to hear the logic either tonight or later about why we think income tax will be up if we have a lot of income uncertainty in town. So I just don't understand the logic there. And then similarly, because so much of our income is based on federal, I'd love to hear just a reassurance that with a CR, with a continuing resolution on the federal level now through September 30, Congress is very unlikely to take back our 1.6 million for FY26.
Correct.
Okay, well, that's good. All right, so if that's locked in, then it's locked in. Okay, great. That's great news. Then I guess I'd love to hear about either again tonight or next time about local income tax.
Okay. All right. Any other concerns that I can?
Are you responding to that now?
No, I'm not. I'm going to come back and address.
All right, Councilmember Wade.
Yeah, just bear with me. I'm sorry. My computer is acting up. The proposed revenue from the hotel motel tax, is there a reason why by chance it hasn't gone up? It's not going up for the upcoming year?
No, we're still in the for the proposed year. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
I'm budgeting the same exact amount that we budgeted for in fiscal year 25, just because I think based off of our current trend in the budget, $110,000 is the minimum amount of money that we should receive for that line item.
Okay. Yeah, I just wondering why the possibility that the revenue would go up for that line item, but okay. All right. Thank you.
I would ask along that vein, does it make sense to decrease that number? When I look at the actuals for 24, that's almost a $30,000 difference. We're at 78 now, so I guess we're probably closer to being at an actual of 110. Ms. Mock, do we have anything for March in that?
No, you received 2 deposits on tax. And they were, one was 41,000 and one was 37,000. And that makes up the 78,000. So I would expect you would get at least one more in this fiscal year,
That's around that, right? Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay,
possibly 2, but at least one more.
great. Okay. Councilmember Gallagher?
Thank you. Yeah, the highway user tax, what accounts for the increase in that?
That number is given to us by the state. So I haven't, so that is their projection of that amount.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, as far as revenue, I have to address the income tax and why it's up, and the red light and speed camera concerns that you have as well. Okay, I'll be back. Again, team, this is a working meeting. This is a conversation. As I proposed, we're working hard to make this budget as flat as it can be. Okay. We can move forward to the general government activities division. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so the proposed budget, the first line items that we have here, under the contractual and consultant services, is pretty much where we'll go to where all of our contractors are. Our attorney fees, our accounting fees, our HR consultant fees, anytime we're doing any type of engineering service fees, this is kind of where we pull that money from. So just to go over this in broad strokes, the auditor is $35,000. Legal counsel retainer, although it's up, it has been a very busy legal year, as you all know. I remain to be optimistic about a less legal year moving forward. So I will keep that number the same. Are there any concerns with that while we're at the table?
Well, we want the year to be legal, it's not litigious, maybe. No. We don't want to be illegal.
Don't want to be illegal.
Still far less than what it used to be.
Yeah.
Yep.
Computer support, we remain.
I'm sorry, I had a question just to make sure, just for the public.
I'm sorry.
Can you just explain the difference between a legal counsel retainer versus legal other? So make sure that the town understands the difference.
Sure. So I'll tell you what, I inherited this back some time ago, and the legal counsel, the legal other was kind of put there, I think, for, I think when I inherited this, we had about $10,000 in this line item, and it was for attorneys outside of the firm that we used during that time. Okay. Right. I kind of used the legal other right here in the times that we can't use Attorney DeLoach's firm, and we have to go outside. There are various matters in which, we have to go to the looker board with a different attorney.
Yeah.
Okay. And, we have a relationship with a different attorney that represent the town on looker board and some planning board issues, depending upon if our attorney isn't the attorney for the county. So I keep that there just for us to be safe, but so that we're also covered. We don't spend that much on a daily basis. However, if you do see that there is a looker board hearing and there is a concern that's brought up, that's where that money is brought in from. So say, for instance, if Dwayne Galloway wants to open a restaurant here and I'm trying to get my liquor board license and Councilmember Fry doesn't want me to get my license, then Councilmember Fry's attorney fees will come out of that legal other.
Yeah,
So that's where those funds come out of. Any questions about that? I just want to make sure that there's a little differentiation there.
Not at all. Thank you for explaining that and make sure everybody knows. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Computer support, as you all know, this year we made a change from.
Really quickly, can you ask the ASL interpreter to unmute and see if that helps with the Swagit? Because a second ago I checked and it wasn't working. So has that been fixed?
This is the ASL interpreter. I have unmuted some time ago. Has that worked?
No, it has not, but maybe.
Okay.
When they share screen, the only thing that shows is us and a box up there. And it doesn't show the interpreter.
Okay.
She's spotlit.
Okay, now we got it. There we go. Thank you.
So we're okay now?
Yes,
Okay.
she showed.
All right. Sorry about that.
No, but I think it's.
Thank you so much for bringing that to our attention. As it relates to computer support, we've made the change to Nauticon this year. Nauticon has been effective right now in assisting the town in various matters. But during the time there was a transition period of which we had 2 providers transitioning in. I do anticipate that we will be right around that range this year. It's not working. Okay.
Shows like this. So as you talk, as our room is talking, it stays on us. It doesn't show the ASL person at all.
Okay.
So on our streaming, nobody is getting ASL.
Okay. All right.
So if there's a way we can change that. I think part of the problem is it's only when it's screen sharing. So I'm not sure if it's something with the screen share,
Okay.
but if we could figure that out very quickly. Sorry.
Well, so that we can get that addressed, can we take a 5-minute recess?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to get that addressed. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know if we need to keep talking so that they can test it out so that our square keeps saying what?
Okay. Just give us 1 second.
There's a delay.
There is a delay to this. Ideally, we could get, if they can show all 3 screens, or like whoever's speaking plus ASL, right, that would be ideal.
Yes, do you want some coleslaw? Weirdo. How are you? Good.
It's still going. But yeah, the audio is still going. The talking is. You guys are being streamed, is what she's saying. So just.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Councilmember Bronner,
Councilmember Briner stepped away.
Stand by my earlier comment.
okay, or whomever might be there. I
Yes,
can see this, the chief. I can see the ASL interpreter. I have not lost her off of my screen at all.
Because you're not streaming it.
Chief, is it off the stream or off the Zoom?
I'm on. Well, I guess I'm on the Zoom. So if that's different than the stream, then,
The Zoom, you can, yeah, we're kind of see the gallery or we can see her, but with the stream, it only gives a 1 square option. And then it seems to be whoever's actually speaking. So for that moment, we saw ASL, I think it was because we were all quiet, kind of holding our breath. And then the second we started talking again, I think she disappeared.
okay, all right. Yeah, I didn't realize it was two different platforms running. I apologize.
Yeah, I think most of us are just on the Zoom, so we didn't think about it, but Layla brought it to my attention, so I just wanted to make sure.
Thank you. Oh, you saw.
Yeah, no, it needs to be.
I mean, it's worth discussing, but do you guys need the money?
It's more than stuff.
What do you need?
Thank you for whoever called that to your attention. Did I hear that? Was that Layla who called that to our attention?
Yeah, that was Layla.
Thank you for bringing that up. I really do appreciate it.
Most welcome.
No. I mean,
This time.
but I think it's worth discussing. We can discuss it tonight even. Like, what is the breakdown? Like, what's the division of responsibility? Right. I don't even know how much fireworks cost anymore. We always said 10,000, but I don't think that's a current figure. I don't know.
That was Warrington's like thing. It's the line item on the budget for fireworks that he gave.
Yeah, and is it a realistic, if it was 10,000 20 years ago, then it's not 10,000 now. I would guess. I don't know, but I don't buy those things.
What was the question?
Oh, I was just.
The
I was,
display for the fireworks were 14,500.
oh, thank you, Diane. Okay.
I wasn't sure that was the question. Is that correct?
Yes, thank you. That was what I was muttering.
It was an informal discussion.
Yeah. Okay. You're. What's up, everybody?
Look at the rest.
Before talking,
What do they do?
I just want to make sure my voice or that our square is going. I do see the interpreter still.
Sure.
But I don't know if there's a delay because it says, "What's up, everybody?" Yeah.
There's a delay on.
There's a delay.
Hopefully.
But she's staying.
I think they're great.
Okay. Thank you all so much for being patient with us as we work that out. So computer support, we're likely going to hit the $120,000 this year. So we're going to remain flat there. The arborist consultant, as you all know, that's Dr. Feathers. We're going to remain at 40,000. And the professional services, PM utilities, we've taken that down to 60,000. This current year, we've spent right around 45,794. That's for some of the engineering services that we're hired for to assist us with Petco utilities, WSSC utilities. They've been very helpful, especially in times like today, yesterday, last week, the week before last, so on and so forth, as we go through and find all these issues with water as it relates to WSSC and some of our utilities. They've been a great resource. And the HR consultant taken down to 50. That has been a great resource for town staff to have and providing exceptional services. So we'll go down to non-departmental miscellaneous. Municipal building supplies and maintenance, year to date, we've only spent about $10,000. But we do anticipate spending the $35,000 just based off of the things that we need to purchase for this building. And we do need to upgrade a few computers that we have on file as well. The municipal building utilities, as you can see, the rate has hit us as well. Last year we budgeted for $50,000 just based off of projections from the previous years. Diane, do you think that there's some accounting that needs to be divided up there? Because something here, I think, is kind of off. Under 510105.
I'll look at that. We talked about utilities this morning with Molly, and she was going to work on utilities to make sure that we were getting the right spread. So some of this might get moved around a little bit.
Yes.
Does this include utilities for the Public Works building?
No, just the municipal building here.
Great, thank you.
That's what we're in the process. We do have some assigned to the Public Works building, but that's what we're in the process of making sure that they've been allocated properly.
So as we go down to red light camera and speed camera contractor, the chief has touched on that. Year to date for the red light camera contractor, we paid $175,470, in which we were anticipating spending $300,000. As far as the speed camera contractor, year to date, as the chief has indicated, we paid $692,000, in which we budgeted for last year to spend $600,000. We do understand that there's some concerns there, Councilmember Bryner, and the chief and I will get together to address those concerns at the very next budget meeting. And the very next budget meeting will be the police department meeting. So at the beginning of that meeting, we'll make the modifications to here, and then we will address it, and then the chief will move forward into his presentation. That pretty much concludes this section. Animal and insect control. I do know that this program, we don't do the spraying. However, we do like to have money there in order. We need to do some testing or some things on our end, some materials for spraying around our fields if necessary, or we have an issue on our property. That's why that is there. The TNR is something that the mayor and council agreed on. Trap, neuter, and release. So we just kept that flat. And as we go down to the cable television government channel, so the professional services, this is where ASL is allocated. And also last year, you all authorized me to hire a professional contractor to come in and run the audio and visual. And this is also where those fees come out of as well. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Cheverly, and I'm sure you've explained this before, interpretive services over here under the committee stuff, and I guess that's later, but is that specific for our organizations versus what this line item.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But it's the same type of, or language interpretive services.
Yes, ma'am.
I have also a question. Is there a reason why the billing for that is so delayed? I see 13,000 current right now.
I'm,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm looking at what's been paid, and it doesn't appear to be terribly delayed. So we might need that to see that just might be need to look at to see if that budget is still a good budget. But unless
Well, one thing to note is half of the year, we didn't have the professional that ran the audio and visual. So that was a half a year, that was some turnover, well, not turnover, but a half a year savings there, okay? So he officially got started in January. So from January on, we will have accrued fees from him, but outside of that, Councilmember Wade, I can definitely do some due diligence just to double check if necessary.
Okay, thank you, sir.
And that $60,000 is pretty much capital improvements. I do know that there was another phase of what we were going to install and put in. We do have a projector to mount and put in for movie nights in the gym. Our goal is to one day make the gym into a theater so that, we can get back to having, the open gym and plays, et cetera. So we're trying to upgrade it so that you all can get back to that. Are there any questions right now before we move forward to the next page?
Is the capital equipment, is that in the capital budget too?
No,
No. Okay. So this is separate.
it's separate.
Got it. Okay. I didn't remember one.
And the reason why it's right there is because this is paid out of PEG funds. So I just want to keep it separated.
Thank you.
Anything else for me? All right, well, Mayor and Council, I mean, this is your budget. I think I might as well turn this one over to you, but I'll go through it with you. Mayor and Council salaries, hey, we're going to remain flat at $50,500. So last year, everyone received the pay increase that were on council. We also budgeted for a mayor pay increase in this as well. So we just factored that in the event that there's election, there's transition, there's times that we have to pay multiple people at a certain time. So we needed that cushion just to make sure that everyone got paid when they were supposed to get paid and we had enough there to pay. Make sense? Okay. Everything else on the personnel services, I think it's pretty common there. Any questions about anything under your personnel services? Yes, ma'am. Oh, okay. I thought you were okay. Travel and training, we remained at $20,000. Insurance, it's kind of been up and down, so we're budgeting $14,000. Miscellaneous, material supplies and equipment, we put $4,000. Newsletter, we remained at $38,000. Public information, we are at $12,000. Any questions right now? Yes.
Sorry, what's public information? 145? We spent $90 so far. I don't know what that is. It's not MPIA, right?
think a good amount, well, some of that is MPIA, but
We have to publish things.
whenever we have to publish
Oh.
newspapers, whenever we, yeah,
Got it. Right, the non-newsletter, yeah, got it.
correct. Or if we're doing charter amendments, et cetera.
Right.
I didn't hear the response. Can someone tell me what it is?
Whenever we have to publish things in the newspaper,
Got it. Okay.
and we have to follow those charter amendment type of protocols, yeah.
How far away from the actuals are we with this $90? There's something that
The
we
comes to
foresee.
you,
We'll have to send that out.
yeah.
Well, I mean, it depends. It depends.
And I have a,
For an election year, I would probably leave it there in case there's like disputes or whatever later on. But I would rather see that number lower.
You would rather see what number, Laura?
To 12. It looks like we've never gone past 9. So if we're doing, yeah,
Okay,
if we're trying to get as close to a real budget as possible.
hey, we can address that. Thank you.
22.
Yeah.
And what, yeah,
question. I still have a question. Yes, okay, so we did a charter, we did do a charter amendment this cycle, and that all came to less than $90.
There may be still some to pay out for that amendment, right? Like to make sure it's shared.
Right.
But it's still nowhere near $12,000.
Right. And we've got for the actuals for 22, we had 30,000, almost 900, almost 31,000. Just putting that out there.
No, thank you for that. We also have a service called MuniCode, MUNI code. That's the website that hosts the town code. That's also paid out of that line item as well. So,
So if we were doing any kind of fixing or changes to that.
any type of change, anytime you do a charter amendment or you adopt a new ordinance or you revamp an ordinance, that's where that goes to. Okay.
Great, thank you.
I can't address fiscal year 22 right now, but I will make a note to address fiscal year 22 at the next meeting. I don't remember why it was 30,000 there, unless any of you do, but I don't remember. Any questions about anything else? Yes.
Just so you know, the Public Officials Association, that's PGCMA,
That's PGCMA, that's National League of Cities.
both.
That's, yes.
Do we
That's,
get some sort of discount now that MML is part of NLC?
I'm not aware of any discount that we get.
Because MML, I mean, that now that's something about them being part of NLC, so it's supposed to be able to give the towns access to something or another. So I don't know if we have to have a separate membership or not.
I mean, we can inquire about
If you
it,
can
but
double check. And just FYI, PCMA, they are looking at potentially, they're having the conversation about potentially raising.
increase in fees.
So, and I don't know when that will be, but it might not be till the fall,
Okay,
which doesn't line up with our budget very well, but just so that we're aware.
okay. So yeah, that's what those public officials associations are, MML, National League of Cities, a few other organizations. I know at one point you all wanted me to do diligence on if we could join the Council of Government, okay? And we've tried to join a few times. However, they have declined our membership because of the size of our town. We've tried. I used to work for a council of government. That was where I began my government career. So I know and understand the importance, but anytime we go to the council of government, we'll have to go in a collaborative effort with either other municipalities or the county just so that we can have influence on that council of government. So that's where we are with that right now. Any questions before we move? Yes, sir.
I know since you're trying to balance the budget, I would be happy to give back at least 10,000 on 120, the constituent services and strategic plan. Think about it.
Okay.
Think about what you could offer me for that.
No, that's fine. At least I know it's there. So,
right,
10K.
The question on the 30,000 from 22. Is that particular year, it looks like you paid Civic Plus for auto renewal website hosting under this line item. Civic Plus was paid probably around $20,000 for various costs. Also, there was a pretty good sized cost for Zoom video communications subscription, $4,000. So it's a variety of items, but those are the largest.
Thank you, Ms. Mock.
Thank you. Well, one I don't have to come back to later, but just so that you all know, Civic Plus is our website provider, but through Civic Plus, we have a ton of services. C-Click Fix is an entity of Civic Plus. The audio eye that we have is a part of C-Click Fix, and that's the accessibility part of the website. Unicode is a part of C-Click Fix. So we have a ton of features with C-Click Fix that are part of this as well. So any more questions right now before we move forward? All right, Brian, I want to make this too easy. All right, so we'll go to the General Government Administration. Okay, Mayor and Council, one of the things that I wanted to let you all know is, number one, the morale of the employees in this town of Cheverly is extremely high. People love working here. They appreciate the sacrifices that the mayor and council, the community have made for them in the past, and even today. Just wanted to let you all know that you all have been competitive, and I'm asking that we remain competitive in how we take care of our employees moving forward. Now, we understand what today's climate is, but in doing some due diligence, I just want to call out a few numbers that other municipalities are doing, and I'll make the recommendation of what I'm going to recommend. University Park, they're going to be promoting a 4% increase in salary. College Park will be making a recommendation of 4.5. Bowie will be making a recommendation of 5.3. Hyattsville, 3.5. Riverdale Park, 3.0. All of those are good GPAs to have if you're in college. So, Mayor and Council, I'm here today to propose for all town staff a 2% merit and a 1.5% COLA. That totals 3.5%.
Mr. Kelly, we have 48 employees still?
Roughly, yes.
I mean, that's a tricky question, but merit is merit. So how many of the 48 people do you think would actually be able to receive the merit?
Merit is based off of one's evaluation. And just because it's budgeted for, doesn't mean that you would receive the entire merit.
Mm-hmm.
Some individuals doesn't receive a merit. Some individuals could receive a half a merit, or some individuals could receive the entire merit.
What is your guesstimation if budgeted for what you recommended that we would use the full amount? Or close to it? 50%, 75%?
50%, what do you mean?
we have 48 employees. If we followed your recommendation to make sure that each person was allocated 3.5%, knowing that not everybody will get 3.5%.
Understand you now. Okay, I'm sorry. Took a while to get there. About 75 to 80%.
Okay. Councilman Watson?
Okay, well, I'm certainly interested in the COLA, but I guess I want to understand why it's 1.5. And I'm not saying that's high or low. I mean, is that a sort of the industry standard for Prince George's as far as year over year inflation or, purchasing power degradation?
Councilmember Watson, what I've done in the past was I looked at the cost of living index that was provided to the federal workforce and had meetings with my colleagues across Prince George's County so that we can come up with the number, because we're all trying to be competitive, but also be fiscally responsible. But this year, it was a little difficult to do that, just considering, what's going on federally, okay? A merit is already built into our step increase from last year. And of course, you all remember we have adopted a brand new salary schedule. So the merit it's already built. There's 2%. I listened to what a few other city managers and town managers were providing, and it was real similar to what I'm recommending to do. Was being conservative with 1.5, but I do know some folks were offering more of a COLA than necessarily the merit. Now, those can flip-flop, but
yeah. So right. We adopted a pay competitiveness policy, or that's not the word, but didn't we adopt a policy to try
analysis, yes, sir.
the salary analysis, and we adopted that last year, right?
Correct.
So you already baked that in, and that's not part of the 3.5 that you're talking about? Because your budget does implement the salary analysis that we voted on.
The 2% is a part of it. The 1.5 is the COLA. So the 1.5 would be the additional based off of what I'm recommending.
So we need to go to 1.5 on everybody in order to keep with our adopted policy.
Correct.
The policy we adopted. Okay. All right. So, I mean, that seems to me, and then I'll stop, I promise. That seems to be sort of non-negotiable because we already voted on it. I mean, do you disagree?
I don't disagree.
Okay.
But you kind of see how it came to that, because
I didn't realize that what you were talking about was to get us to the thing we already agreed to.
Yeah.
I thought it was on top of everything else.
The 615, 350 includes your recommendation?
Yes, it does.
Ms. Mock, can you tell us the difference of that real quick? I'm trying to calculate, what is that, 30, 40,000 difference?
34.
For the numbers that you quoted, 4%, 4.5, 5.3 from Bowie, 3.5, do those include a COLA, or is that just their merit? How do they make those numbers?
It's a COLA and a merit. I'm just giving you the overall number of what
the final number. So ours would be 3.5.
Yes.
All things being considered.
So, yeah, that's a very good point, Mayor. So the 615 is if all 7 or 8, I can't remember, employees covered by 530100 got 3.5.
Yes.
Yes.
So in a sense, it's the worst case scenario as far as spending.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Bryan.
But, and I don't know if I'm doing this math right, 'cause it's been a while. I feel like that's more than 3.5%. Is that?
That's a little bit more than 3.5% because you also have contractual agreements that you have to include there as well.
Okay. But it's not changing staffing in terms of positions or anything?
No, it's not.
When we agreed to the staffing compensation analysis, did that language include that people would automatically receive a COLA? Do we know that?
I think that's at the discretion of the mayor and council.
Okay.
But my recommendation is for the 1.5% COLA.
I think I probably ask for this every year, but it would be very helpful to have a list of the positions in the administrative side and their responsibilities.
Yes, we have that. Okay.
Great. I'd love to see that.
All right. You were about to say something?
Oh, well, I would like to see that for all three. But I mean, I think it has less significance with the, but actually, I shouldn't say that. It is also helpful for public works and for the police department. Because we already agreed to the salary adjustment, I'll get the noun right eventually, but that thing we did last year, because we adopted that, I don't want to renege on that, but I'm not sure that I want to do more than honor that commitment. I don't know that I feel like we can afford to do more than honor that commitment, which we made because we didn't want to fall behind as a competitive workplace. At least that's my recollection of our justification.
What does that look like for you?
Well, I thought, so maybe we need a refresher on it because I thought that I thought it set benchmarks for where we were trying to get the staff in 25, 26, 27. Did it? Okay, because I don't have it in front of me, but that's my recollection. So I'd like to hit the 26 benchmark on our way to whatever our destination was. I think it was like a 3 or 4 year phase in to try to get us to be a more competitive workplace in the second half of this decade. But so I want to, unless I'm remembering it wrong, I want to follow that blueprint. I just don't know if I'm not convinced right now that I can afford to do more than that blueprint.
Which part of that do you see as part of the blueprint? Because the 2% merit is based on merit, right? So that doesn't necessarily get them to the benchmark. It's based on their performance. So that would mean you're looking at cost of living increase and whether or not you want to give people that.
I guess maybe it makes sense to go back and look at the blueprint, what we agreed to. I'm not sure that we can, I don't know that I can afford to give anybody merit increases this year. I guess I'd have to think about it because I hadn't thought about that before tonight. I'd have to think about that. I don't want to fall behind and become an uncompetitive workplace, but I also don't know that we can afford, or I don't know how much we can afford of merit increases. And maybe, I guess I'd have to think about whether we've cut that up into a pool or, I just, 2% is a lot. If we give it, it gets pretty Machiavellian, but if we give it to a lot of the 48, and that's not, again, that's not my job. I don't evaluate their performance. I'm not managing them 24/7. Sorry.
Yeah, that's kind of why I asked what would the percentage be. So it sounds like it's going to be a lot. It's at least close to 75 to 80%. I'm specifically asking these questions because remember I have said, I expect you all to come to the table with cuts if what you want is a flat budget. I don't ever think that I'm willing to cut anything for our staff. If the difference is $34,000, I'd rather find that someplace else than taking it from staff, especially if part of that is merit. Someone has done an exceptional job. The last thing I want to do is not make people feel like we appreciate their exceptional job.
Well, it's only 34,000 for the 7.
Right.
Or 8, I forget the number.
Just for administrative budget. So I would probably feel the same for every budget, right? Because our biggest resource is our human capital. Councilmember Brennan?
I just want to clarify when we're talking about the salary analysis, it wasn't necessarily that we don't want to fall behind and become uncompetitive. It was that we literally had staff that were making below a living wage for this area. So I just don't want to diminish the importance of us having voted for that and the importance. It's not just, oh, we're keeping up with Riverdale Park. It is, we are righting wrongs so that our employees are paid a living wage.
Yeah,
I don't know if there's hands online. I can't see anybody. Council members? Okay. Yeah, I personally would rather find the difference somewhere else.
Okay, well, that's noted. I will say that if I can ask you to look at COLA and merit in two separate categories. Okay?
And 1.5 is the national average COLA?
No, 1.5 is not the
Not,
national
right? I thought
average
they were
COLA.
proposing 5.
Yeah, that 1.1.
I don't think it passed, but I thought that's what they're proposing now.
I mean, I think
Is it normally 3?
2.5 is what the nationals propose. Okay.
Is that what was passed? Or that's what's proposed? I'm talking about 2026. They just proposed. It was, I don't think it passed, but I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
So, or what was taken, but that's my question of what is, and then not just the national average, but what is it, what are we doing here?
So
And I was trying to find that in the county execs. If any of them.
Social Security's code is 2.5.
That for this coming year.
Yes, 2025.
FY 2026, it's not FY 2023.
So I own this, okay? I'm the one that made the recommendation
Well, I'm wondering, because I just
for
like
COLA.
1.5 is low.
And
It's 2.2.
And the reason why I made that recommendation is just based off of communication with other managers and based off of the national average. I knew that we weren't going to get what the national average was, but considering the times that we're in. Okay, so if you don't mind, we'll go down. Overtime, we're keep at 20,000. Retirement supplement, we will remain flat there.
But the actuals for retirement are consistently over what we project. That's almost $20,000.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
That needs to be higher.
So I would put that at 55.
Hold on.
That can't be right. It can't be 53,000 for the retirement contribution for 7 people. Unless you're putting the whole town there, which I don't think we do.
What line item are you on?
We're on 530110.
Okay, let me check that. We have allocated the retirement based on compensation by department, except for police. So the retirement was split between the public works and the administrative department.
So it's both?
The retirement, the public work, police department bill for retirement. So the retirement, excuse me, the retirement bill that's received was divided between general government and public works based on the compensation of those two departments in a ratio.
But is that $32,000 administrative staff and public works? Or if I look at the public works budget, is it?
Public Works has its own budget. So the state retirement, the bill from state retirement was taken and split between Public Works, mayor and council, and general government. And the total bill was $194,000. So we took that and divided it among the departments based on their ratio of payroll. So that's how that $53,000 number has been arrived at.
Thank you for clarifying that, Diane. One of the things that I did too, by the way, Mayor and Council, was I emailed Maryland State Retirement asking for clarification just to ensure that these were being allocated in the corresponding department. So, yeah, thank you so much for that information. We will take that line item up to 55,000. And that's due to the town being a part of the Maryland State Retirement System. Okay. For retirement supplement, we're at 10,000. Workers' comp, we remain flat at 3,500. Social Security, 47,100. Hospitalization went up a little bit, up to 88,000. Life insurance remained the same, and unemployment, $200. As we go down to staff development, travel and training, we remain flat at 25,000. Tuition assistance, 35,000. And just to remind everyone that it's for the entire town. I do anticipate that that will be a overflow as well. And we may need to have a conversation right now about where you all want that line item to be.
Do you have a number of the people participating in tuition assistance?
I do have a number. Yes, I do.
I know we're not doing cuts yet, but I would just offer for one line item 531.45 to change that number to 15,000. Travel and training is not a necessity. It is a like to have. And so that shaves off $13,000. For the next one though, I would probably increase it to 40.
I think if we're going to cut travel and training for staff, we should also be willing to cut travel and training for mayor and council.
I would argue that's already happened for me, but we can go back to that.
Okay, because it's the same this year in this budget as it was this year, so.
I'm not opposed to that. Just a reminder that 145 is only for those 8.
Yeah.
It's not for the town. Unlike tuition assistance.
Yeah.
Where this is all of it for the town. Public Works and police each have their own travel and training budget.
And that travel training is like, I don't know. And a couple other things or.
Some of that's MML, some of that is some of the contractual obligations that you all have. Some of it is mandatory training by positions that we have. You know, the actuals and 22, you're right at 22.9. I wouldn't say cut it an entire 10,000. I would be kind of scared to do that. You know, I'm not going to advocate for a cut there. I just can't, just knowing and understanding the type of training that needs to occur, and that's happening now.
And what I would ask for is to give us a number of what is mandatory. I would still consider a cut down to 20 so I could move that 5 down to tuition assistance, knowing that there are people who plan to take advantage of it. And I would just say this, just like with the federal government, folks were no longer able to travel and train. They had to bring in experts to actually train their staff so that there was a cheaper cost. We have to consider cuts somewhere. And that seems to be like the least painful part if people are being compensated what they were, plus including the fact that we are, how are we going into a recession? We have to deal with rising costs, and we are still considering whether or not to get a cost of living increase.
Comments there? We'll start here. because me and the team will get together to discuss even further, but I do know that that is a concern. So thank you. As we go down to insurance costs, those kind of go up and down from year to year. So we'll keep it flat at 2,500. Commodities, material supplies and equipment, we have it 15,000. Miscellaneous, we have at 5,000. There's some reallocation that needs to be done there. So just FYI.
I'm sorry to bother y'all, but Ms. Mock, can you go back to 525125? Do we have actuals for March at all? Like extra ones?
Tell me the name of the account. What account?
Travel and training for mayor and town and council?
Yes, I can look at that. Just 1 second, please.
Just remember that my mom's not in.
But that's
But it should have been.
for June.
June is still, this is the July 1st. That's the next.
Oh, yeah, we already paid them. We paid.
The 16,325. It's
I don't see 16,000. 525125?
excuse me, I was looking at the actual amount for travel training. March is 16,325.
Okay.
We booked the rooms and paid for
No,
registration.
she's looking at staff travel and training. We're talking
Oh.
about mayor and council travel and training.
Mayor and council travel and training, 525125.
I'm sorry, excuse me.
Okay.
Let me go back to mayor and council then, just a sec.
Jumping around.
$800.
Mayor and council travel and training is budgeted for 20 and 5391 has been spent. And in that, I won't go through like small items, but MML is in there. The larger items were the Maryland Municipal League. There was $4,830.
Is the $4,800 for the June MML?
It was paid in March of 25.
That's the registration.
It's the registration for the June conference.
So then how much is the stay for the June conference?
What's the
That was a lot of money.
It was like,
It's like.
the registration and travel was like 3,000 per person was our estimate.
I thought it was like 2.
If it's,
To open it up further. Let me see. That's
So that's the registration and hotel deposit.
What's the line item right now that she sent for the actual up to date?
yes, 5,300.
Oh, it is, right.
Yeah.
So nothing else is there yet.
there's lots of other smaller amounts in there. MML reservations, Municipal League, Hyatt Regency, Hampton Inn. So it's different expenses. That have been charged to that particular line item.
Okay. I was trying to figure out if we're close to this number, to Councilmember Briner's point. If we are cutting from staff, I don't have a problem cutting from mayor and council. I just want to see where we're at.
Let me open it up through March. I am in through March. Okay, so actually through March, we have not reconciled through March, so I wasn't looking that way. But through March, there's $11,391 charged there. So it is going to go up. You're through, what did we have through? Yes, you only had $532 through February, and now there's $11,391.
So I accept, Mayor, if you just let me evaluate that and look at the detail a little bit more. Just assuming if all 7 of mayor and council go to the MML, we're anticipating spending about $15,000 just for that one conference. So if you just let me evaluate some things more internally, that's not even including the fall conference. That's not including the National League of Cities conference. That is just for the summer MML conference. Assuming that all 7 council members go. All 7 mayor and council, excluding me, because in that sense, I'm not a part of the council.
Okay.
All right. Any more questions about that, or trust me, no, I get it. We are already trying to figure out ways to cut. I hear you, Mayor. I hear you, Councilmember Minor and Councilmember Watson. We're working diligently on trying to find ways to do this. So as we get down to the commodities, bank service, bill.com, payroll fees, all that's $13,000. We move forward to other charges, subscriptions and memberships. We'll need to go in and look at that $7,457 to see if that number needs to either increase or if we need to reallocate things somewhere else. So that's another star we'll put there. The consultant and accounts paychecks. This is where we have our town accountant and our paycheck fees. As we go down to the contractual services, recruiting and advertisement for job announcements or positions would be there. $6,500 for the employee assistance program. That's the program that we have for the entire town. It's mandated that the police department is mandated by law that the police department has one. So the one that we had, the police was able to incorporate into their mandate. So $6,500. That payment usually comes out in the 4th quarter of the year. That's why you see a 0 right there. Telephone, that is for the phone services that we have here in our Verizon account. And I think everything else here is pretty explanatory. We'll go down to code. Code, private property, lots cleanup, and the code day. That's right at $4,000. Code residential parking at $2,000, and uniforms for the code compliance is sitting at $1,000 for the year. And now we go to committees and debt services. So we'll get started with Cheverly Day Committee. We budgeted for $16,000, but year to date, Diane, can you tell me what is in that line item?
Yeah.
It says that we have spent year to date $26,000.
Right. I think that's the one that there's an amount there that needs to be voided.
Okay.
And I don't think it has been voided yet. Let me check that, Delane, while you're going forward, and I'll let you know.
Okay. We'll come into that one. Cheverly Planning Board, we're at 300. The youth program at 18,000. We'll remain flat at 18,000 due to some payments of things, and then the youth council will be getting paid on a monthly basis as well, on top of some of the programs that we have for the youth programming. The Rec Council, we have $4,500 allocated there. They haven't spent anything yet. Correct, but they haven't spent anything yet. We still have Easter. So yeah, they haven't spent anything year to date. Regarding not PCAB, but help me think of
The new name.
the new name.
Citizens Police, whatever.
Yes.
They renamed it.
EACP?
PAT.
Yeah.
PAT.
PAT. Okay.
Police and citizens together?
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Citizens?
CPAC.
CPAT.
I was not part of the community.
Is she on?
Community and police together.
Cheverly Police and community together?
Let's not make it up.
Yeah.
So
I would
Okay,
cut for me.
so,
Councilman Watson.
so this is the successor organization to the Police Chiefs Advisory Board.
correct.
Okay. Well, I have maybe the same question about this and the youth program. I mean, what are the actuals for the year? And if they're not anywhere near approaching the 25 budget, why budget the same for 26? So maybe it's youth and PCAB separately. I mean, I don't know if 5581, for example, is actual. Like the for real, like what you think we're going to spend this year.
I think the youth program is something that I can evaluate. I need to go over it with the youth program coordinator. I don't want to make that decision right now because I do anticipate that there are some payments that we have committed ourselves to make. So I'll need to check with her. As it relates to the old PCAB,
The son of PCAB.
yeah. Do know that they have been meeting. This is another conversation that the chief and I will have, along with, well,
What are they doing? What's the?
I would recommend cutting the 10 and having them apply for a grant.
you know, this is something that we implemented last year. Okay. And it was due to
Public safety concerns.
not only public safety concerns, but the stuff that we were working with Ms. Ganesha Martin with. Okay.
Anything beholden to the town? Kind of,
Well,
because if we're giving them money.
no, not necessarily, but
Like a lot.
we can have the conversation again and, you know, we can go from there, but
The idea last year was we wanted it to be resurrected, and we also wanted it to be able to be independent from the town and not have to apply for a grant. Because the idea is that they're independent from the town. From what I can see, this new iteration is actually much more closely aligned with the town rather than independent of, and working with the police department rather than advising sort of independently and externally. So that calculus might be different.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
okay. I don't disagree with the mayor's recommendation as well as, you know, if we remove it, let's at least, we can have them apply for a grant. But if we do that, I would recommend increasing the grant, just a tad. But as we go down, I kept $15,000 at Cheverly grants. Go down to Cheverly Community Market. We have 5,000 there. The reason why it's zero there is because market hasn't started yet, and they usually wait until about this time of the year to apply or ask for those funds. Interpretive services here, Councilmember Fry, I think I answered your question earlier as it relates to if any of our organizations, say for instance, of the Cheverly Day Committee, I'm just going to use you for an example since you only have Mr. Grant's website. You all are having a meeting here and you need ASL or some type of interpretive services. This is what that line item is for. So that's there. And then, are there any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Is it only for the listed committees or is it for town organizations to utilize as well?
Yes.
And then do they know that? Because I know the Boys and Girls Club did not.
Well, we
But
can.
They got their own money. So
Yes.
They can handle it. But so I think it'd be good to let organizations know that this is something that they can do.
Absolutely. I agree. Okay. And then,
I believe there was a request from the Cheverly Day Committee to increase their budget for it.
correct.
Yeah.
But I would like to see this year-to-date number resolved and understand what all of that went to, and also understand better what the proportions are between the town's contribution and what is fundraised for and paid for through sponsorship.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to raise that because my constituents.
No, I'm sure.
Yeah, do you want me to say a word about it now?
It's
I
okay.
can. Yeah, so I think, and then, I mean, Nick's the expert, but I think the question, sort of the philosophical question on Cheverly Day is, does the town pay for the fireworks? Yes, okay. That is in this line item. So does the town do other stuff financially for Cheverly Day other than pay for the fireworks and all of the staff, enormous amounts of staff time? Because the 16,000 basically covers the fireworks only. And so if the answer to the riddle is the town for Cheverly Day contributes thousands of hours of personnel time and planning time, plus the town provides the fireworks and that's it, then we're on track because that's about $15,000, $16,000. I think that Cheverly Day currently fundraises something on the order of about 20,000.
No,
What is it?
so it was an election year. So we always do well.
I don't know. I don't think they can hear you. I'm sorry. Is it okay if Nick answers this question? No. Just come over here to the microphone.
So I don't know, I don't have them, sorry, I don't have the hard numbers on top of my head. This is an election year. This is an exceptional fundraising year because of that. That is not every year.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
in an average year, it's well below $5,000 in revenue that we bring in.
You're talking including sponsorships? No, that can't be true.
It depends.
You're talking about like Sailbox. You're talking about like Farebox.
Yeah, the
Okay.
midway revenue, yeah.
5 to 10 probably.
It's about 10.
Okay.
With all the revenue sources.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then and they spend every dollar of that,
Yeah,
on prizes, on band fees,
it's
on all of
really
that.
good offsetting. And then, so then it's a question of and then some years we just get obliterated on sales because you have fixed costs on moon bounces, on music is extremely expensive. Audio is extremely expensive. The tents have a significant expense, even though it's offset with a sponsorship and in-kind donation.
Yeah.
So all of those things have fixed costs, and there you go.
So the day on typical Cheverly Day, non-election year, is operating in the red to the tune of a few $1,000s.
Yeah,
probably.
Budget.
What's the what?
What's the budget?
So not counting what the town provides.
Just know, what do they need? Like, what is the scope of what is needed on a non-parade year?
We submitted expenses of about $10,000, which was based on an anticipation. We thought our budget was there. I think we had a conversation. So we submitted that about $10,000 for reimbursement. And then we found out that apparently
The fireworks cost 14 and our budget was 16.
Yeah.
something like that.
Those like
Yeah.
20.
It's something like that, and so now we're like, oh,
Yeah,
okay, so
that's
maybe
the
we're
right-
not gonna get
That
the
was- that wasn't-
reimbursement,
that wasn't paid.
and we have to reevaluate going forward.
I think Councilmember Fry's right, that the total, if you were to pay for the fireworks,
Yeah, what's
If-
needed?
the total
So-
thing
so-
is typically about 26,000,
So I'll
including
tell you,
fireworks.
Just the bands by themselves are about between 1,500 to 2,500, and that's just being conservative. That's being conservative, right?
Yeah, each.
Each.
Yeah, so 27,000, plus, of course, all the uncompensated staff time.
We've been operating off of.
Was that
Sorry.
included in the 10K
Yeah, the
reimbursement?
10K is our requested reimbursement, which basically sets us even for like music, tents, audio, ton of miscellaneous, moon bounces.
The tents are a few $1,000s. The audio and visual, I think, I was a part of that selection as well. That
It's
was,
gotten quite a bit more expensive.
yeah, it has. Yes. That was at least a minimum of $5,000 this year.
We also consider a budget.
Councilmember Briner.
So here's my thing, is that I've been on council for 4 years now, and I have never been approached by anyone from Cheverly Day for a sponsorship. Last year, 2 years ago, it was Cheverly Day, and I was like, oh, I wish I had contributed to this, but I had missed that boat. So last year I was very concerted. I was like, I'm gonna be a sponsor. It took me a lot of work to be a sponsor. The online form wasn't working. I didn't get a response to an email. It wasn't clear what the benefits were. So I feel like that's a real untapped resource, because if you're not coming even to like council, like, are you approaching local electeds at different levels? Are you, I feel like there could be a lot of money in that. And I don't want to be that person saying, you should do this, but from my own personal experience, it was really difficult. I almost gave up. I was glad I didn't, but there it is.
Can also just include a few things. The golf carts that we purchased, the shuttle service also comes out of there. Yeah, that's it.
So I think that looking at the number, the actual number makes sense, which is this is almost a $30,000 day party. But I think to Councilmember Briner's point, does that $30,000 all have to come from town? Because I had a very similar experience. So some of this may just mean we reach out to Aldis and say, hey, have you ever thought of contributing to Cheverly Day? We reach out to council members and say, have you ever thought of contributing to Cheverly Day? So that it is not all coming from the town of Cheverly itself.
There can be a coordinated effort. I mean, I can.
Respectfully, yes, we do our own fundraising, but it is an all volunteer organization. And so every minute we're fundraising is not a minute we're planning all the activities. So it is a limited volunteer resource.
So again, I think it'd be great if we had a budget that just showed like for the ideal Cheverly Day, everything you'd want, right? And then what that would cost. And again, consider a project search.
It's a project charge, yes. Okay. One thing that, I'll just throw in there as well. We work extremely well together leading up to Cheverly Day, but the day before Cheverly Day and the day of Cheverly Day, it's an extreme amount of overtime that, charged between all three departments. It's an all hands on deck. Now, it's mandatory for staff to be here unless you have an exception. Okay. And some staff do have an exception not to be here on that day. My wedding anniversary is on the day this year, and I don't even get an exception. So, but
You get a party on Cheverly Day.
we get a party, exactly. But for the most part, that is a very costly day. That's something that I will work with Nick on as far as project charge. But yeah, we can explore.
And
other
I
options as
would
well.
offer this, I think it is critically important in a year when people feel like chaos is happening.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important that we honor Cheverly Day. But I also think we should probably find other ways to cover it.
And to Councilmember Fry's point, it would be good to see in those costs what that in-kind contribution is from the town in terms of staffing, right? Because that's not included.
Yeah, I would
right?
include that in the cost.
How many overtime
Yeah,
hours?
what those hours look,
Yeah.
what those hours look like, because if you're gonna request a budget charge, you've got to.
So you want town administrator Delane or DJ Delane? Because those two fees vary. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I would say that I would
They're
want
both.
all of my staff to be compensated for
Yeah.
their time.
Okay, so that's where we are now. Duly noted, I got it. Last thing, debt services. And that is.
Excuse me, before we go on.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I just, also for green infrastructure, could we, just so that we're clear, you know, and however the budget reflects this, if it shouldn't get its own line item, if it should be under grants, that same amount, but moved under grants, possibly. I just don't want to set up an expectation for future councils to think, oh, you know, they are a part of the town when that may not be the case. I just want to just make sure, however we're interacting in the future, that our budget reflects it, because I mean that could be part of the setting ourselves up for confusion. I just want to avoid that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Gallagher. Councilmember Fry?
I agree, Councilmember Gallagher, and I think the only way we take that line item off though is we have to actually reverse or vote on the resolution that was passed and repeal it in order for us to remove it, because they're all intertwined.
That's why planning board has 300 as well, because you were in this predicament last budget season, and because our advisory committees are part of the town, we gave them each a nominal line item to indicate that, at least for planning board and the green team.
So I think the solution for this is to leave the line item, but remove the amount, which is the $300.
Noted.
My brain is broken a little bit. Whichever, if it, yeah.
We're required to have the line item per the resolution that was passed many, many moons ago. So we're required to keep it there, which is why we can't take it off.
Oh, okay. All right. I think I've caught up now. Thank you so much. If we zero that out, can we increase, then I'd just like to increase grants by 300 or whatever it is.
Gotcha.
Just so that it's, the goal is to just reflect the accurate status. You know, that's really, it's a communication tool. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Galloway.
Then we're at debt services. And as you all know, that is the interest payment and the principal payment for the William E. Public Works Building. And that concludes the revenue, the general government, the mayor and council, and everything else. Mayor and council and community, I do thank you for your comments and your concerns. We'll take this back to the team so that we can do some additional due diligence. But as I stated before, this is a discussion. Our goal is to come in flat, so we don't have to increase taxes this year. That is our goal. Last year I heard you. This year I hear you. I've already started receiving phone calls. So thank you to everyone that have called. But that is our goal, and we're going to do our best to try to meet that expectation. Councilmember Watson.
So on the debt service, wow, that's a big number. And is this our fourth year? Or did we make, no, that can't be right, can it? 23, 24. I mean, I think the 2022 was the last year of the police station, right? And then is 23, 24, 25, and 26 will be the fourth year we're paying for the building that's not open yet?
Ms. Mock, if you can advise, please.
I think The first payment, just looking at this, tells me that the first payment was made in FY '23. So it started probably the second half of '23,
That
and
makes sense.
'24, '25, and now '26 coming forward. So you've paid 2.5 years so far. This will be the third year.
Okay. Hope it opens soon. That's a lot of payments. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Is there any further comments or questions from councilmen? Councilman
Yes.
Gallagher.
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you. I'm going to, I have to do a little bit of double checking with Cheverly Cats about their needs for the coming year. I had thought that the initial $5,000 was for like a big initial push, whereas whereas in subsequent years it might not be as much. Let me at least get in touch with the organization and just double check to make sure what their anticipated needs are going to be for the coming year. That's number one, because if we can reduce that, I might like to see the interpretive services for town organizations increased. I know our actuals have been zero thus far. However, if we're going to educate our community organizations, if we're going to make sure that the folks know that this is something that they can and should be taking advantage of to make sure that Cheverly is accessible, we should start planning for that now. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Gallagher. Anything else from mayor and council? Okay, as mentioned, we have strict adherence to our rules because of time. This is not a work session, it's a budget meeting, which means there's no additional resident input. I am, as a courtesy, going to see if there's any comments or questions around the room, since we did have additional information provided to us. Nope. All right. Well, is your hand raised? You can come up to the mic.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
This is regarding travel and training for staff, and particularly for public works staff, and actually all of staff. From at least my experience, that is not something that I would support cutting, because that includes a lot of safety training. That includes training on how to properly prune trees. It can be things like that. It can be things in how to, improve as a town clerk, these things that are all about supporting the operation of the town, keeping people safe, keeping people up to date on things. I would see places, and first I always look to my own pocket. So I would encourage mayor and council to look for places within the mayor and council budget to find ways to cut. If that's the strategic planning and public service, that line item that's gone up and down and all around, there are other ways to manage that, other things like that, but really respecting and maybe looking more closely at, but doing your best to respect what it takes for staff to be able to do their jobs well, stay safe, and do the best work for the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Leila Riazi, Ward 1.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room? Anyone else online? All right. With that, I'll entertain a motion.
to adjourn.
Thank you. Is there a second? Been motioned and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Have a good night.